Howdy, folks. Been a while. It's been a minute. So today we're going to talk about the Fearless Roland. This is one of the first Tribrid sets that came out. They had a lot of hype back in the day. I think Hawaii Bad Boy really liked them a lot. Super expensive. They were about $1,000. I nearly bought them like a lot of times, but in the end I decided I'll do something else. That ended up being the EJ07, but never mind that. So these things are freaking gorgeous. I mean, geez, as far as the aesthetic, they're very unique in terms of everything else I've ever seen. 2-pin recessed, 3-bore. So they're a Tribrid. They got a dynamic driver. Don't know what type. 2 EST Sunyon drivers and 2 balanced armatures. And so I got these, and I was trying them sort of against a bunch of other sets, Timeless being one of them. And I immediately was like, nah, these things are horrible, horrible, horrible. But actually, as it turns out, what it is these are a fairly darkly tuned set, and if you try and A/B compare them, or even try and listen to them after listening to some headphones that have plenty of treble, they sound dark as in they don't have any treble, but they do. If I let my ears rest for 5-10 minutes, then they come across actually pretty nice. Actually, go figure. All right, so let's talk about some stuff. Real quick, I'll just bring up the product page. I know this is an old set, but we'll just do this real quick. $1,009. Price hasn't really gone down. The build quality is amazing on them. It's like, about as good as you can get. Says here 2 electrostatics, 2 balanced armatures. What is that? 12 ohm, 111 dB. They're actually not super sensitive, but they don't require a lot of power. I'd just call them medium. You can run them off a phone or something like that. The electrostatics do, in fact, enjoy quite a bit of power behind your amplifier source, so there's that. As far as honestly, I love the build quality and just the aesthetic of these. It's one of the nicest things I've seen. You can see some stuff through there. Looks like the transformer. Thought I saw some balanced armatures through there. Super, super cool. The bores are not too big. These are Comply T500, and they just go right on there, no problem. That's my preferred way to use these. And the cable, although I actually thought initially it was going to be the horrible one that I've tried before from Fearless that was like 50 pounds. This one's actually not too bad. It's got, silver coated copper cable. The splitter isn't ridiculous. It is made of metal, but it's not the worst thing I've ever had at all compared to some of the other stuff. So I don't hate it. Good quality cable. And there's the splitter. I could pick something else, but I'm not going to fault them for the cable. It's pretty nice. All right. So let's see, what else do I have to talk about? Right. So I just pulled up some comparison graphs. Let's just check out this one. All right, so just to give folks an idea of what a darkly tuned set I mean by that. So we have what I consider like more or less correct etymologic treble. That's the graph for the 3XR. Just kind of take any of them. They're all right in the same ballpark. So there's the Fearless Roland. And then I was looking at that and I'm like, well, what if we align instead of at 1,000, we align somewhere else? And so on this graph, I was just pulling up something else, EJ07. And, the Roland has quite a lot more, shall we say, low mids and high bass than the EJ07. So I was thinking, like, maybe I hear it more like this. And then in that case, over here, in terms of the treble area right here, that's not incredibly dark. It's just dark. Anyway, I just thought I'd mention that, alignment matters. And I was talking to some of my friends about this, and you kind of got to, I don't think you can align just on anything arbitrary. You need to kind of, pay attention to your hearing and pay attention to which parts of your hearing you pay, that you, I don't know, that draw the most attention for you, so we say. And that would be your like anchor point in the frequency graph. So then you might want to, for instance, if you're always listening for vocals, then you might be up here in this range. You might want to align for like 2.5K, 3K, I don't know, something like that. And just play with it. It's kind of hard to do this unless you've actually heard two sets and you're like, oh yeah, okay. So yeah, in fact, the Roland does sound much more thick than the EJ07 to me, whereas the EJ sounds cleaner and clearer. But it's not bad. I mean, that looks like 5 dB. Like I said, I'm not entirely sure where to align this one. I think I'd probably do it a little lower than what I think 2.5K for this. But anyway, it's something to play with. Then I had another graph here. For a reason, I'm reviewing Cerberus, and just thought I would pull it up. The bass on these is actually extremely similar. I believe Cerberus has a better bass driver, like barely better bass driver. I should emphasize that. These are both really, really good bass drivers. So I was just playing with that sort of stuff. All right, let's move on to the graph. Let's see. Boom. All right, so Roland at the bottom here. Can I scroll up? Sure, why not? All right, so $1,009. The price hasn't dropped over the last, I think they came out about 2 years ago, which is a bummer, honestly. I would appreciate them more at like the $600 level, maybe $500. $1,000 is pushing it, really. But on the used market, you can definitely get these for right around that price. So there's that. And all right. So let's start with the exceptional factor, 8.5. Now, like I said, I first got these. I was testing against some, so we call them normally tuned. I don't know, a lot more treble. And I was just like, no, screw these things. They have no treble. I don't know what anyone was thinking. And I bitched and whined to the dude that lent them to me, and he was like, oh, But after I let my ears rest, like literally the next day, I tried it again, and it was like, that's actually pretty okay. Like I said, if I just let my ears rest and pop them in there, they don't come across as super dark. They actually come across as reasonably okay treble, actually. Anyway, 8.5 out of 10. I actually would listen to them. I enjoyed listening to them quite a bit. It's like, when tunings go overboard with treble, that's something I'd rather not listen to compared to this, which is like a hair dark, but not, out of the ballpark. Moving on to accuracy, 8.5. I find them to be fairly accurate as into what mixes intend. Not perfect. They could probably use a little more twinkles and sheen to the upper treble if we were talking about really, especially for the price, $1,000. But again, this is like a tuning that's sort of its own deal. All right, so then 8.5 out of 10, not bad on accuracy. Actually, not bad at all. Wideness, 8.5. They don't have any kind of like overt top of the line wideness going on, but they have a really nice wide sound field that's sort of a more natural type of thing, almost as in speakers. Not EJ level, but it's pleasurable, and I don't mind it. So 8.5. 3D factor. So as it turns out, the mids on these are a little bit, I don't know, the high mids actually are pushed a little higher than I would have enjoyed, and what ends up happening is the 3D factor gets diminished because those high mids just kind of crack you over the head. You can't hear sort of the ambient reverb effects quite as well as I really would have liked, and I'll get into that. But 8.5. I wish it was better. Imaging is going to be an 8. It's like average good or average. Yeah, average good. Not super pinpoint precise accuracy, but that's sort of an artifact of having a more natural sound stage that's wide and deep. Volume scaling, 8 out of 10. They would be better, except for the high mids are in the wrong place. I'll just get to that in a minute. Bass, 8.5. So strictly speaking, I might have rated this slightly higher, like as in 9 to 10. I believe the bass driver is really quite excellent. It does an excellent job of textures. It has really good extension going down low. You can get down to about about 30 hertz, a little below that, and it starts rolling up to the point where you can't hear stuff too well, which is, in my opinion, excellent. I mean, honestly, that's crazy. So 8.5, I would have preferred less mid bass and a little bit less overall warmth in that area. It just, like, see, the way I do things is I like my mids, and then if I want more warmth in those low areas, I just turn up the volume, actually. Then I expect the subs to come up like a sort of like a subwoofer would in a room. But that's sort of where I come from that. And let's see, moving on to mids. All right, so let's see, pull this up here. Sorry, I lost my page. There we go. All right, so right around here, this is, strictly speaking, like, okay, the pinna gain is slightly less than like an Etymotic here, but then at just a little after 4K to 5K, this is like an absolute hotspot for me. And then it's actually over, shall we call it neutral or whatever we call that, Etymotic tuning. So no, this is in the wrong place. Actually wrong. I don't like it. So mids are going to come down a notch from what they could have been. So we'll give it a 7.5. I mean, they're nice, and they have reasonable texture and all that sort of stuff, but just overall, they're not really exactly where I want them to be. So they're going to be a 7.5. Detail, you might say, wow, it's a dark set. 8, really? Yeah, actually, the treble comes across as, nicely detailed. Now, again, if you A/B test with something normal, you are going to just be like, what are you talking about, dude? You're deaf. Look, let your ears rest. Like, you can hear some of that treble. It's a nice treble. It's there. Has really nice resolution, detail. It's a sweet-sounding treble, so we say. And then, one other thing that popped into my mind. Sorry, I'm having problems controlling my crap, but let me go to here. Okay, so if we go and look at this area on the Roland, we have this massive notch or dip or whatever you want to call it. Let me go over to the EJ. So, this goes way down. And again, 711 coupler is not accurate, but there's something like that's low energy here. However, then we get up to like whatever this might be, 13, 14,000, and then we actually have a little bit of energy. And actually what comes across, I tested this because I was thinking to myself, I've got a couple test tracks that I do, and it's like there's energy there. And I thought this was like super ultra dark. So what I think they did kind of is they just kind of like stuck the EST drivers way up in the treble and just left like a little gap there where the BA rolls off. It could have been legendary if they had the mids a little better in terms of the my 3D theory that people probably know about by now. Anyway, it could have been. I don't know. Just popped into my head. All right. So resolution 8, really pretty excellent. Pressure buildup, they don't have any vents. It's a sealed shell. Wait a minute. There is a dynamic driver in there. I mean, I think... Okay, look. I'm going to be honest with you. Let's see. Let's swap over to this real quick. You see on the edges of that 2-pin? Those are holes. And I happen to know from other manufacturers, that's where they actually will vent a dynamic driver when they don't want to have a hole. And that's where it is. And I just thought about that. And looking at I hadn't looked at it before, but that is dead obvious. That is absolutely vented right there through the 2-pin. All right, so we'll give them an extra 2. I think I thought of it. And isolation, these really fit my ears well. 4 out of 5. Fearless has a really excellent shell. They're not too big. In fact, they're not big at all. In fact, for a Tribrid, geez, man, give me a break. They're killer. Like, this is a really nice sized shell. Anybody should be able to wear this, I think. So there's that. Let's see, binaural. Actually, these come across as amazing for binaural. I think it's just the more treble you add, binaural ends up sounding fake. That's just breaks it. So these sound great. Special features, none. Interesting set, really interesting. Not a good set to have if you constantly listen to other stuff, maybe, I don't know. But So let's go backwards here. We are at an 82, and I didn't even sort this. Let's see, largest to smallest. Where are we at here? Oh, they're down a little ways. Not bad, but interesting set. Now, the question is, do I recommend these? I mean, come on, for $1,000, no. That's just ridiculously over the top, unless you're the kind of person that just absolutely adores dark sets. And then, maybe as far as the build quality, the cable and all that, I mean, it's, probably worth that type of price. I wouldn't recommend these at this point. There's some other, EJ07 for a Tribrid that actually has treble that is tuned damn near perfectly, like edemotic, neutral, whatever, diffuse field. So yeah, I mean, this is a super interesting set. If you can get like these for a really good price, like I don't know, if it was like $400, $500, and you're getting into a dark set, but that's a really sweet sounding one and has a sort of a unique tonality, killer, man. Super interesting. Yeah, didn't expect that to happen. All right, thanks a lot, folks, and talk to you on the next one.